Here we go, Livy, Book 1, Chapter 8. Rebus divinus rite perpetralis et vocata ad concilium. So we're starting off here with Rebus divinus perpetris as ablative absolute. So with the divine matters, rebus being perpetrated, perpetris having been done, rite, the adverb for in the correct way, in the right way, duly performed, and vocata, something is being called, ad concilium, into a council, and this would be a multitude, and with the multitude vocated. So this is these go together, this ablative and the past passive female, which coalescere in popula unius corpus. So corpus is a neuter accusative, so quae is which into a body. Unius is one of the naughty nine, as they're called, because they have the I there. So to coalesce into a body of one people, one populi. These are genitives. Nulla. So there was nulla re, in no way, no circumstances. Praetorquam means besides. Legibus, with laws, poterat. So in which poterat he was able to coalesce this into one body of people. There was no way, praetorquam, besides. So did it. He gave them this euro, this sense of justice, or this code, and so this is how he made them take legibus, laws. Quae, which ita thus, sancta generi hominum agreste fore ratus. So ratus is past passive for thinking. So which thus, in this way, ratus, he thought, fore, in the future, he was thinking this would be sancta, which would be more sanctified, to agresti, a rural generi type hominum genitive of man. So he was thinking that by doing this he gave them laws, and if say ipse, and if he himself venerabilem, he would be more venerable, fecus, if he would make himself more venerable, with insignibus, this is insignia imperi, of power. Cum cetero habitu se augustorium, which is a comparative. So he'd make himself more august, habitu, in appearance. This is a fourth, this is his bearing. Instead of using quam, they've used an ablative here than the rest. So when he could make himself more august in appearance than the rest, tum maxime, then especially fecut. He did this. He took up duodecim, which is 12 sumptus lictoribus. So he took up 12 lictors to attend to him. And he's making more venerable insignia of power for himself by doing all this. Ali, so some people, ab numero avium, that's genitive. So ab ex de cum sine pro are prepositions that take the ablative. So some from this number of birds, plural, quae, which, augurio regnum portendurant. So the number of these birds which portended by this augury the kingdom. Eum secutum numerum putent. So these are some people, putent, they think that he secutum this number. He followed this number. He followed this number because of the number of birds which portended. So there must have been 12 birds, and there were 12 lictors. Me hord painetet. So me, I don't regret, painet, which is impersonal, eorum sententiae esse. These opinion of those, quibus, by which, and the apparitors, these are the servants, hoc genus, this type, ab Etruscus finitimus. So this is from their Etruscan neighbours, the finits are the lands next to them. So he doesn't suffer any regret at all that they think that by these auguries that this is where they got these 12 lictors. And you got these servants from this type, from their neighbours. Unde selacuros, from where the curule chair. Unde, from where the praetext, the toga, that's the purple edged toga, sumt es, was taken up. And numerum quoque, and this number also, ipsum ductum placet. Placet means decided. which they had decided is ipsum the letters themselves, and thus habvisi, we'll take that as considered, the Etruscans, because ex duodecim populus, from of their 12 peoples, or their tribes, commuta creo. I'll just run over this rather quickly, but they had created rege, their rulers, or their king, singulos singula populi lictors dederant. So, from each of these 12 peoples, they each gave dederant a single lictor from the people for each singulos people group. So there was 12 people groups, and there was one from each group, is what it's saying in English. And we'll have a daily dictionary word, which is the apparitor, a gatekeeper, public servant, or servant, secretary, lictor, deputy. Okay, crescibant, that's an imperfect. Interim, meanwhile, that's our adverb. The Urbes, the city, crescibant, it grew with munitionibus, that's fortifications. Alia and alia appetendo. Appetendo is a gerundive, so this is by their appetite or by their seeking. Alia and alia loca, more and more loca. It comes from locum, which is singular, and loca is plural. So they sought more and more places. Cum in spem magus, so, and in the hope more, future of future multitudes. Quam them, added to this quod which, then hominum erunt munerent. So there was more for the future multitudes that they did all these munitionibusses, these fortifications, than to the amount of men which tum then they had munerent. So they were looking towards the future. Deinde, so then, nay, lest, vana urbis magnitudino esset. So he would have an empty magnitude of the city. So basically, so what he's saying, lest there be such a the city's empty because of the size. Ad iciende, which is mean to add to, multitudinous causa. So causa is a post positive. For the cause of a multitude, ad iende. So for the sake of increasing the multitude, vetere concilio, by the old planning or the old way of thinking, condentium, genitive, of founding Urbs, the city, qui obscurem and humilium consciendo. Consciendo is another genitive. So this is in calling together. And obscure and humilium means low. If we want to put this all together, for the sake of increasing his multitude, he used the old planning of city builders who would call together people who were obscure and humilium, low, and say to himself, Natem, which this multitude was born, Natem, Etera, from the earth, Sibi, Prolem, Prolem is the offspring, so Ementia Bantor, which means lying, Mentior is a lie. So he created a lie that his offspring had been born from the earth. A locum, which is a place, qui now septus, which is now hedged in. This past passive is taking locum. Descendibus, that's his descendants. Inter duos locos, so between two groves, est asylum apparet. So he opened an asylum in a place, a locum, which is now hedged in. And now it's between these two groves. So it obviously still now exists because it's got nunc there. So eo, to their ex finimus populace, from the neighbouring people, so they're from the neighbouring people, a turba, a crowd, omnes sine discrimine, or without discrimination, liber, and is or service, esse, those who had been liber, free or slaves, avid, novarum rerum, this is double genitive, so avid for a revolution, it basically means, for new things, perfugit, they fled eo to there. Idqui, the enclitic, and so this, primum, first, ad coeptum, which means this was the first beginning, roboris fuit, of its strength, of this magnitude strength. So, they were increasing. Remember, they'd built an empty city originally, and they were looking forward to the future times. So they called all the people from their neighbouring people who were free or slaves who wanted new things, and this was the beginning of their strength. Cum iam. So we're now virium hord painetit. So we're now he had no regrets of his strength, of his virium. A concilium deinde. Then viribus parat. So then there was planning, or he started thinking, and he was preparing to add this planning to his strengths. So that'd be dative. So he didn't regret of any of his strength he had, but then he prepared something in his head, some plan to add to this strength. Centum creat senators. So he created 100 senators. CV, the V in clitic means it's a or. So this was either quia, because, is numerous. Is a demonstrative pronoun for a male, which is this. For this number, satis erat was satisfactory. Sive goes with this sieve. Or quia, because. Sole centimerent. There were solely only 100. Qui, who possent, they were able, creare, to be made patres, the fathers, which means the senators. So he created 100 senators, either because he thought that was satisfactory, or because there were only that many who qualified. Patres, certe, curtes, the adverb. How do we get this pen thing to work? So I can vandalise it a bit. No, it's not going to work anyway. So the fathers certainly, ab honore, from this honour, from this rank, patriciqui progenies eorum appellat. Okay, so the progenies, the offspring eum of them, appellati, were called patricians, patrici. Okay, wish I could get this pen thing to work. I don't know how it works. Oh, there we go. So there's an adverb, there's a nominative, there's an ablative, and that's the verb there. Oh, figured that out.